Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we're going to be talking about my pull plans for the banners that was announced during the community live stream. Now we do have 3 events in November where we have no idea as to what it is that it may be, but I am going to speculate that it is going to be for Jessie's Lost Chapter, the Diablo Spiritus fight, which will feature Cissnei, and then the Heretic event, which should be featuring Arciela. So we're going to talk about those 3 characters as well in this pull planning video. So let me know down in the comment section below what your pull plans are going to be, who you're going to be pulling for, who are you skipping, who are you still undecided on. Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know. And as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for future content. And real quick, I do want to mention that I am not going to be talking about Realm in this pull planning video because I have already released a Should You Pull video, seeing as how her event is going to be happening in the next day or so by the time you're watching this video. So I went ahead and not included her in this video, but I did not mention whether or not I'm going to be pulling for her, and at most I am probably going to throw some tickets at the banner, but that's about it. I'm not really going to go into like super hardcore chasing like I am going to be doing for some of these other characters that are going to be dropping here the next few weeks. So Realm, I am going to be holding off as of right now, and mostly just using the multi-draw tickets that we get via the events, and then maybe, I don't know, like 50 or 100 tickets, whatever I'm in the mood to throw at the banner. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the next character after Realm, which is gonna be Ignis. Now Ignis is a great support slash utility character. He is a healer. He has the ability to provide the party with debuff evasion, Brave Battery, he is a fire enchanter, and he is a turn manipulator with his EX ability. Now when it comes to his FR, the conditions, they are easy to meet. The first one being that as long as you are fully healed, or if you have HP overflow, then you meet the first condition. And the second one is to not have any debuffs active, which of course Ignis is able to provide 100% debuff evasion, so you don't have to worry about that and you can meet that condition. So in a way, it is actually a pretty well-rounded FR because Ignis literally helps you with everything in keeping you healthy. I do believe that he provides HP regen, and with the ability to be able to prevent any debuffs being inflicted onto your team, then yeah, it's a really good FR in terms of meeting said conditions. Now, when it comes to his BT effect, aside from the normal party auras that most support characters do offer, at least like the main ones, which would be like Brave Damage Up, Brave Damage Cap Up, HP Damage Up, and HP Damage Cap Up, Ignis does gain a follow-up. Now this follow-up, it does battery the party based on 80% of own max Brave, and then it follows up with an AoE split HP attack 6 times, which does allow for a 150% stolen max Brave overflow, and it does extend duration of active buffs by 1 turn, which I do believe only applies to himself. I do not think that it is for the entire party. So we're gonna safely assume that it is for himself. But the AoE follow-up attack being at 6 HP attacks is actually pretty good. Like when you take a look at the rework that he's gonna be getting with his skills in terms of like his HP attacks. So when we take a look at his HP attack plus PNB Bowl, that deals 9 HP attacks. So that's a single target attack with 50% splash damage. And then afterwards, you have that 6 AoE HP follow-up attack. So that's not bad whatsoever for a support character. His HP attack plus pastry deals 8 HP attacks, and then you gotta add in the additional 6 from the follow-up. His EX ability now deals, if I'm not mistaken, 11 HP attacks, but it is, let's see here, it is single target damage if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looks like it is single target damage. And then when it comes to his LD ability, it is AoE damage, and it does deal 7 full AoE HP attacks. And then, of course, again, you have to include the follow-up attack. Because I have played Final Fantasy 15 in the past, and I did enjoy FF15. I am one of those players that did enjoy Final Fantasy 15, and I am a fan of Ignis, actually. I think that for him being for his iconic line of like of the whole like recipe thing. I forgot the exact wording. I don't want to mess it up. No, Ignis, for what he does a very good amount in his overall kit, and it just depends on like what like stance that you currently have him active will equal to like what you're gonna be benefiting out of Ignis. And then with his FR, the conditions, they are easy to meet, which I can appreciate. The follow-up that he gains is definitely going to be some good additional damage that he's going to be dealing on his turn. So for me myself, I'm undecided on what I want to do, because like I like Ignis's kit, I like him as a character, but the thing is though, I'm going based on how much I use the character on the JP side. So I'm still undecided on what exactly I want to do, if I actually want to give him a chance and actually use him more than what I did on the JP side, or if I want to hold off on pulling for his kit. But like I said, he does have a lot to his kit. The follow-up is a very good follow-up for him, and then just overall in general, he has a very he's a good character. He really is a good support utility character. So I will throw some tickets. I may, if I do decide that I want to chase for his BT, I may consider tokening the BT, because I do have the tokens to do so. But we'll see. We'll see how things go from here on out, up until his banner is gonna be dropping. But as of right now, I'm like undecided, maybe leaning towards actually chasing for his FR and BT. Next up, we're going to talk about the newest character dropping to Global, which is Leonora. Now, Leonora is a very strong healer and defensive support unit. So, she prevents party from getting knocked out. So, last stand, which is very nice for a support character. She also has a way to be able to reduce HP damage for the party, which is only 30% if I remember correctly. So that is a way to be able to reduce incoming damage, which is a nice add-on. She does have, she has a lot of healing. Like, and I kid you not, like, she has a crap ton of healing and a lot of HP overflow. Now, her follow-up is going to be based on her overhead value. Now, this overhead value is similar to some of the overhead values that we have had with previous characters, except that this one is going to be based on incoming HP recovery by the party. And then it increases the stored value capped by 100% of max brave cap, based off of her HP cap, right? So it basically, like, the more healing that you currently have, the more that you are able to heal. So take example, if you pair her up with characters that are able to increase max HP overflow, like take example Lena, you have Rosa, you have Celtiers, and you have a few other characters that is able to provide HP overflow. And you also got to consider the fact that we have our crystal passives that is able to increase our stats. So that means that the value on her overhead is going to be much higher. Then yeah, her follow-up attack based off of her overhead value is going to be a high one, and it's going to get even higher as we talk more about her kit. Also, if any ally is actually knocked out, like let's say you've already triggered last stand and they do actually get KO'd at the start of turn, it actually consumes the stored value in her overhead and revives them to 50% of max HP. So yeah, it's a nice overhead, because it's a very important thing to Leonora's kit, but it also is able to help out your party in case you do get knocked out. Now, when it comes to her FR conditions, they are not hard to meet. A 40% increase whenever a teammate has a special buff, aka an overhead, and a 40% increase whenever your teammates are fully healed. So the conditions, they are not hard whatsoever to be able to meet them. Now the BT. So the BT is going to be very important for this one because the BT provides offensive and supportive auras, and it also increases her overhead value cap. So that means that whenever her BT effect is active, it increases the stored value cap by 200% of the max Brave cap, meaning that her follow-up damage is going to deal much higher damage, which is great for her because like the whole thing about her is healing, HP overflow, and once again healing. So it is going to help her out overall greatly. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention, because like her skill 1 is an FR charging ability. I forgot to add that to this slide. So she is in a way technically our quote unquote our first FR charging unit for the Black Crystal character. So if you have been in need of an FR charger, Leonora is your girl. Technically, we did have another character, Theodore. He did have a force charging ability, but like, we kind of don't count that. So Leonora is our quote unquote our first force charger for the Black Crystal group. The other thing is going to be with her LD ability. So her LD ability, her attack is going to be based on 200% of the stored value on her overhead 3 times. And then I guess one thing that I should include as well is that her follow-up attack, it only deals 1 HP attack. So that's something I felt like I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, or at the beginning of discussing her. So yeah, so overall, I do think that Leonora it does provide a decent amount of things, but like as you can tell, like the biggest thing about her is going to be healing and HP overflow. And if you want to take advantage of everything that she does offer, then make sure to either equip call abilities that were able to increase max HP overflow, or just in general, like if you're trying to increase the stored value, you can use call abilities to be able to increase that value. Or if you want to pair her up with characters like let's say Celtius, like he is able to hit very hard. So, and not only that, but he also provides HP overflow. You also have Rosa, Lena, all those good characters that you can easily pair up with Leonora as well, if your main focus is going to be increasing her overhead value. Now, one other thing that I want to mention is that she actually has an interesting mechanic that us JP players did kind of like, I guess it's not really like exposed, but like Leonora and Maria actually work extremely well together in terms of increasing the HP damage bonus. If I remember, I'm going to link you guys a video, and I'd recommend you guys watch it, where literally the HP damage bonus increases by a tremendous amount. It's not nothing. It's not 100%. It's going to be 200%. No, not even 200%. It's going to be even higher than that. So I would highly recommend you check out that video, because like Maria's FR with Leonora on the team, or it might be the other way around. No, actually no. It is Maria's FR. Having them both together, you are gonna see some crazy shenanigans if you do watch that video. But like the biggest thing that makes those shenanigans happen is going to be her EX buff, Hidden Thoughts, which makes it so that the party Brave gains from ability heal 1% of max HP per tick non-regen. Because of that specific line right there, yeah, it equals to a huge amount of HP damage bonus increase with Maria's FR. So yeah, make sure to check that out. If I am incorrect on Maria's FR being the main one, and it's actually Leonora's FR that needs to be active, I apologize. It's one of the two, but just having them both together, disgusting combo. Make sure to check that video out. But for me myself, I actually might hold off on pulling for Leonora, because she is another character similar to Ignis, where I really did not use her. Like, she has a good amount to her kit, and she can definitely be a favorable character to a lot of players, and a lot of players would probably enjoy what she does offer. But for me myself, because I feel pretty comfortable with the support characters that I currently have right now, the only reason why I would probably pull for her is if I really need her for the weekly crystal quest whenever I do decide to work on the black crystal characters. But other than that, I'm still really debating, and I'm more leaning towards I may actually skip her on global, just because like I feel comfortable with some of the support characters that we currently have right now. Again, I may change my mind, but as of right now, I'm like undecided, leaning towards I may just hold off on pulling for her. Next up, we have Yida. Now, Yida becomes a very strong DPS unit with the rework that she's gonna be getting. Like, when I tell you they gave her HP dumps galore, yeah, they literally gave her a very good amount of HP dumps with most of her skills. Now, when it comes to her FR conditions, they are easy to meet. 40% increase whenever you use a melee ability, and a 40% increase whenever you attack a broken target or you break a target. Another thing to add is that whenever you do break a target or attack a broken target, the party does receive a 50% HP damage up / HP damage cap up. Now, the BT is where the real prize happens for not only for Yida, but for her teammates as well. So, basically, how this works is that for the party is gonna be gaining a 50% brave damage up, 20% brave damage cap up, 20% HP damage up, and then 20% HP damage cap up. But whenever you 3 out of 3 her, so whenever you do green her, the party gains an additional 30% brave damage cap up, totaling 50%, a 10% HP damage cap up, totaling 30%, and a 10% HP damage up, totaling 30%, which is very similar to a lot of the ores that we currently have. But for a DPS unit to offer that, I do feel like it is a very good ores, like very strong ores that she does provide to her teammates. But for Yida though, it is a different story. So for Yida herself, this only applies to herself while her BT effect is active. So the brave damage up value for Yida, 90%. The brave damage cap up value, 150%. Her HP damage up, 120%. And then her HP damage cap up, 150%. Yes, Yida, alongside with the additional HP dumps that she gains from her rework, she has the highest, if I'm not mistaken, the highest self HP cap increases, just overall stat increases from her BT effect, which allows her to be able to dish out some very high damage. If you pair Yida up with, let's say, Fujin, who is able to add much higher damage output while during the launch sequence and whenever the enemy hits the wall, and if you add in, let's say, a follow-up attacker like Vites, or if you want to increase her HP cap even more with strong support characters, Yida is going to be hitting very hard. Like, Yida still to this day hits very hard on the JP side, even though global and JP the gap is about 3 to 4 months. Still, Yida is still doing her thing, and she continues to clap enemies so freaking hard. It may not be Astos level, it may not be Rufus level, but like, she comes very close to Aranea damage levels. So Yida is a very top tier DPS unit, and if you are lacking a DPS unit, or if you want to play around with another DPS unit, Yida is the character to definitely chase for. I am going to be chasing for her once again on the global side, just because, one, FF14, and then 2, she hits so freaking hard, man. And she is so much fun to play with. I love playing with Yuta, and I was very happy with everything that she received with her rework and her FR and BT. So yes, I will be pulling for Yuta's FR and BT whenever it drops. Next up is Jessie. Now, Jessie is a turn manipulator slash delayer. Like, some of her skills, she is able to turn manipulate, whether it be dragging one of her teammates or the entire party behind her. And then when it comes to delaying the enemy, she is able to delay one target or all targets on the field. Now, her BT offers her a new change HP command and an overhead. So this overhead, the value is increased whenever anyone deals brave damage, and the stored value is capped by 500% of the max brave cap. Now, whenever you use this change HP command, which is called shaped charge, it deals 3 full HP attacks that can go beyond the HP damage cap. It delays enemies by 2 turns, and it moves the selected ally after herself. But the downside to this is that the value goes down to 0 after use. Now, this may not sound too impressive to some players. Like, some players may be wondering, we're like, well, if I gotta keep increasing her overhead over and over and over, then like it doesn't really sound all that worth. Well, technically, if you do have strong follow-up attackers that is able to deal a very good amount of brave damage until her turn comes up again, then you pretty much have a pretty simple solution with that. Like, Jessie and Cissnei actually pair up extremely well together, because like Cissnei's follow-up attacks deal a good amount of brave damage, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that her brave damage cap is actually pretty high, which is going to help out Jessie and her overhead in maxing out her value on her overhead. So like Cissnei would actually pair up extremely well with Jessie to make sure that that value basically stays full the entire time. And of course, you do have other ways to be able to increase brave damage. I mean, like, if anything, you can always do capped brave damage using characters like, let's say, like Setzer with his LD ability, able to help characters deal capped brave damage or rainbow numbers. Like, there are multiple ways to be able to work around with Jessie's overhead, so that way the damage output is always going to be high whenever you use her change HP command. So yeah, Jessie, not a bad character whatsoever. Like, she has her uses, but like it's not something that you would see yourself using like all the time. For me myself, even though I am an FF7 fanboy, I'm probably gonna hold off on Jessie's BT, just because like I said, her kit can come in handy for rare situations. Like, it's not gonna be a situation that you are or it's not gonna be. She's not a character where you are going to constantly need her all the time. Like her kit is more of a convenience than it would be like a high priority character that you want to chase for her kit. So I would say for any, I guess she's more of like when you need her, and when you don't, you don't. That's pretty much how I look at Jessie. So for me, again, I am more than likely going to be holding off on pulling for her BT, and just I guess she's gonna stay at FR. If I do manage to get a BT, she's gonna stay at BT base, because I'm not gonna green her unless like I want to throw a book at her to get the ingots for doing so. But yeah, for Jessie, I am probably gonna hold off until like I don't know, like a future rerun, and if maybe I get lucky and get the BT on a free multi or something like that, then cool, I'm happy with that. But yeah, I'm gonna hold off on pulling for her BT. Next up, we have Cissnei. Now, Cissnei is an AoE follow-up attacker. A lot of players loved her when she first dropped onto Global Default because of the fact that like her follow-ups was AoE follow-ups, and it dealt 3 HP attacks in total. But things are going to be changing now that she is going to be getting her FR and especially her BT. So, her FR conditions, they are good for on/off turn increases. So, a 5% increase whenever a teammate uses a range ability, and this also includes off turns. A 10% increase whenever Cissnei uses a ranged ability, and this also includes off turn. And a 40% increase whenever a teammate deals critical brave damage. Now, the BT is where it really helps out Cissnei a lot. Now, the BT effect does last for 6 turns, but you can, if you have been working on the because I do believe that she is what, green crystal, right? Yeah, so if you have worked on the green crystal units, you could actually give her the D3 and D6 passives, so that way, like, her turn rate is going to be reduced and her speed, so that you are able to basically like extend the longevity of a BT effect, making it so that she will act less. So that is in a way to be able to push Cissnei away while having her BT effect active, and then she's going to continue doing her follow-up. So her BT effect makes it so that her overhead levels do not drop. The thing about Cissnei currently right now is that whenever it is her turn, her levels on her overhead are going to drop, and if that happens, that means that she's going to be dealing less damage as it drops. So instead of like the 3 HP attacks at her max levels, it'll go down to 2 levels. So it'll be at 2 HP attacks, and then so on and so forth. So making it so that the BT effect prevents that from happening is fantastic. So it is always going to remain at 3 HP attacks if she is at max levels, and her follow-ups are gonna be triggering twice, meaning that is gonna be 6 AoE HP attacks in total for her follow-up damage, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Like, the fact that she is able to follow up on everybody's turn is a definite plus. Like, it's a big plus, because you already know that aside from whatever abilities that you are going to be dealing, you are going to be backed up with 6 AoE HP attacks. So for me myself, I will be pulling for Cissnei's FR and BT once again. BT is definitely the biggest priority for me, if by chance like I run out of resources, something like that. Or I guess like for anybody who is tight on resources, then yeah, the BT is definitely the biggest prize for Cissnei, and it is going to help out. It's going to help out her kit tremendously. So yeah, I will be pulling for her F1 and her BT. And finally, we have Arciela. Now, Arciela is a great support / utility character. She has Brave Control via the debuff. So the debuff makes it so that the enemies cannot gain any Brave whatsoever. HP Silence. She is able to inflict a framed HP Silence. She is also able to dispel enemy buffs. And she is also a healer. So yeah, a very good amount to her kit overall. Now, when it comes to her FR conditions, so her FR conditions, they are easy to meet. The first one being whenever enemies has no buffs whatsoever, Arciela is able to remove buffs, so you are good to go on that part. And then a 40% increase whenever the enemies has at least one debuff. You are more than likely going to have a debuff active on the enemies. And one thing that I forgot to mention, or forgot to add to this slide, is that her FR is instant turn rate. So very nice convenience right there for some very easy increases if you're going to be using her FR as the main force time, which more than likely you might be using it as your main force time, because it is an FR with easy conditions to be able to meet. Now her BT is where she really shines, because she makes it so that her debuffs does not decrease whatsoever. So that means that HP Silence, that capacity break debuff, yeah, it's gonna remain on the enemy. So they're not gonna like you whatsoever, because they cannot attack you with an HP attack, and they cannot gain any any Brave whatsoever. So enemies cannot grant any buffs, so that is another big plus out of Arciela. Like, instead of waiting for Arciela's turn to be able to remove enemy buffs, her BT effect makes it so that the enemies cannot grant any buffs whatsoever. And then finally, the biggest plus about this, about her BT effect, is that the party will be granted with additional HP damage based on the number of debuffs. So for example, if the enemy that you are targeting has 8 debuffs, then that means that said character is going to be dealing 16% additional HP damage on HP attacks, which is fantastic. Like, any additional damage is going to be a big plus because of the fact that a lot of this additional damage is going to be stacking up with other characters that does provide additional HP damage by whatever means that they provide it by. So yeah, Arciela. Oh, and one final thing to add is that her BT effect lasts for 6 turns. So one recommendation that I would do if you are going to be actually, yeah, even if you are or if you are not going to be using her FR as the main force time, I'd recommend that until you have already used her FR Echo or her using her FR as the main force time, then make sure that after you already use all of the uses for her FR, then you use the BT, so that way you won't lose out on 1 or 2 turns on her BT effect. But Arciela, fantastic character, a high priority for a lot of global players, and for me myself, I will be pulling for her FR and BT. I still use it to this day from time to time, and like, her overall kit is fantastic. I'd recommend players pulling for Arciela just because she really does have a lot of things to her kit. She offers a lot, and just her FR and BT just increases her value even more. So I will be pulling for Arciela's FR and BT once again. But other than that though, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If I did make a boo-boo, let me know. If I did make a mistake on something that I may have said on any of these characters, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And yeah, that's going to be it. Oh, and of course, let me know what your pull plans are going to be as well in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.